I was deported from the United States by Obama. $200 client, $300 client. I started getting clients little by little. The views don't matter. What matters is the value within the content. And eventually the views will come.
Think about it. 1,000 views. Mm-hmm. If 3 people invest $100,000 with you, that's $300,000.
Exactly. The only risk, as they say, when you come to Colombia is wanting to stay here forever.
Andrew Macia was deported from the United States with no money and no plan. And instead of playing victim, he rebuilt from zero in Colombia and turned that reset into multiple businesses, a real estate company, and a YouTube channel that actually makes money. In this episode, we break down how to monetize content the right way, how to invest in Medellin strategically, and why long-term discipline beats hype every single time. This is Nemology. Andrew Macia, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I watched your videos before I ever even came to Colombia, looking at estratas and should I live in Envigado or Laureles or Poblado or where should I go? So you've been at this for a long time, spreading the message of Colombia and Medellin.
Yeah.
How'd you get started in this?
Making content. I started with a blog, believe it or not, back in like 2011 or 2012, called it the Medellin Buzz. That was because I was an English teacher. And, when I got here in 2010, I got a teaching job. And as an English teacher, I wanted my students to have something to read other than the only thing in English for them to read was MedellinLiving.com, which was kind of like a boring blog, more informational for expats, and Colombia Reports, which was a news thing in English for expats living in Colombia about Colombia news. So it was super boring. There's nothing for them to read. So I started to blog about my life. And then I'd come to class and be like, okay, guys, read this article and then summarize or whatever, right? So that got traction because obviously a lot of people in the United States were reading it about my life in Medellin. They wanted to come down here, meet up. So that's how my content creation or promoting Medellin content creation journey started. Then about 2 years ago, I started with the Medellin Buzz YouTube channel because I had been streaming video games before.
No way.
Yeah, for a straight year.
What were you playing?
Mostly Fortnite and FIFA on Twitch, YouTube Live. The pandemic.
Yeah.
I was at home. I'm like, shoot, I could do this. So I got the camera, I got the lights, I got the mic, and I started to play. And then some people were watching me, mostly kids, obviously. But that was what broke me into doing, getting away from being shy in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Being able to talk, breaking my crutches like likes, etc., and being consistent with a content schedule. And then I said, okay, well, this gaming thing is a lot harder than I thought it would be. It's definitely very hard to break into that because it's so saturated. So I said, well, let's start making videos about Medellin. And that's what I started doing. And that's how the Medellin Buzz started about 2 years ago.
Amazing, man. And so are you Colombian?
Yeah, I was born here. I was born in Bogotá, actually, in 1981. 1985, we immigrated to California, to the United States.
Okay, yeah. And then you stayed there all the way until 2010.
Yeah, until 2010, when I was deported from Medellin, from Colombia. From the United States by Obama. Whether Democrat or Republican, none of them want us there either way.
Hey, listen, people never knew that Obama deported way more people than Trump, right?
Yeah, he holds the record. He's a record holder.
Well, that's crazy. So what was that like? I mean, you grew up in this entire environment.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, someone's like, hey, bro, you can't be here anymore.
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, because I still feel American. I mean, I definitely identify with expats and Americans because I lived there for 24 years of my life, grew up there, went to school, high school, all my childhood friends, etc. down there. So I grew up down there or up there, I should say. And then I got deported to Colombia out of, nowhere kind of. It was mostly traffic violations and driving on an expired license. Went in front of a judge. The judge said, well, you've got about $5,000 worth of traffic tickets. And I mean, these are your fines or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I don't have that. I was 27 at the time. And I said, well, what can I do? Can I get an employment payment plan or something? She said, yeah, you could do that. Or you could just do a weekend stint at the local jail, Huntington Beach. I'm from Southern California. The Huntington Beach local jail, which is kind of like a Holiday Inn. And I'm like, I'll do that standing on my head if it clears $5,000. And I didn't know any of this, naive and stupid. I go in, obviously I don't have any papers. It's been in process of becoming legal. My whole family are citizens, except for me at that time, because I was still in limbo, still waiting, because we were trying to do things the right way. I go in on a Friday night after work. I was working for a law firm in Newport Beach, doing marketing. I come back, it's Sunday, getting ready to get booked out. And the sheriff, who I became friends with because I was there the whole weekend cleaning the drunk tank with them, cooking in their kitchen, etc. He comes up to me and says, "Hey, you got a call from ICE police." And I'm like, "ICE? What is ICE police?" And, in 2010, no one's really ever heard of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's immigration police. They want to know if you have, a green card, a birth certificate, anything that proves your citizenship here or your residency here." And I'm like, "I don't have any of that." And I can see by the expression in his face that he was very saddened by it. And I was like, "What does this mean?" He's like, "It's going to be a long trip." I'm like,
oh my God.
So that 3-day or that weekend stint in the local jail turned into about a month and a half of federal prisons across the nation until finally I boarded a plane in Louisiana to Bogotá with just a suitcase and nothing else. Landed in 2010.
Holy
Had to
shit.
start all over. Yeah.
So you just out of everybody, you just get picked out like that. Boom,
Yeah.
You're deported. Now you're here in Bogotá, and good luck.
With no money. Didn't know any of the family members that I had here because obviously I was raised in the United States. Luckily, I had a really nice cousin who, they were like a strato 3 in Bogotá. And they let me crash on their couch. And, they had 2 kids and, they worked regular jobs, etc. So I was there on their couch for a couple of months. The first thing I did was get a job in Bogotá, in downtown at a call center for, remember those Walmart prepaid phones?
Yeah.
There was a call center for them. So I was doing call center job in English there. Until I discovered Medellin 6 months later. I was like, I'm not going back to Bogotá.
Yeah. So then what did you do? You came here and...
Yeah, well, the whole time, even immediately when I got to Bogotá, I got that job online. And then I also started looking for clients in the United States, like small businesses that I could do SEO work, like digital marketing work for, create a WordPress website, etc. And I would cold call. I would just go on Craigslist, like Southern California, because that's what I knew. Like the Dana Point hairstylist. I would call her up and say, "Hey, I saw your website and I noticed that you did this wrong, that wrong, and I can help it improve." Or if you just do it yourself, you'll get organic clients. And little by little, after many, many cold calls and many, many emails, I started getting clients little by little. The $200 client, $300 client. And that's what I did for about 5 years till about 2015. In 2011, I moved here. It was like 6 months after I landed in Bogotá, moved to Medellin, and I got a teaching job here. And I was doing that freelance work on the side. And that kind of grew. And I built a digital marketing company here called MD Digital.
Wow.
And now we only cater digital marketing to drug and alcohol rehab centers and mental health centers in the United States, mostly the Pacific Northwest and the Pacific Southwest as well. But it was just because we were very consistent with our client acquisitions and carving a niche.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've always been in marketing in one way or another.
Yeah. I was kind of drawn to it because I liked sales, but I like marketing more than just sales.
And then when did you start the content journey? Did that really start from the pandemic and the games? Or were you interested in something like this before that?
Yeah, we did like around the pandemic time, right before the pandemic, we started the Colombia podcast, where we would interview people. It was kind of like a podcast like this, but it was 2 interviewers, me and my business partner at the time. And we would interview friends, locals, etc., all in English. And that turned into, we had to stop because it became a production, because we would do it live and then we would have an audience live. So we would do it in our office first. Friends would come over on a Friday night, watch us interview people because we'd be drinking the whole time.
Yeah.
And everybody's drinking, and then we'd go out and party Friday night. So it got so big that we had to get like spaces where we'd have like 40, 50 people come watch us do the live podcast, and then we'd have fun, party, etc. So it became too big of a production, especially because my business partner Joel wanted to travel, etc. It was just not sustainable.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like a break into the content creation.
Wow, that's quite a way to break into that. And I mean, I bet at that time there wasn't a lot of like the viral entrepreneurs here doing that kind of thing.
No, yeah, there wasn't many. There was just small channels. Yeah, I can't remember even what the biggest channel at that time was, but now there's a bunch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really blown up, and you're definitely a part of that. So when you're looking at the benefit, I mean, explicitly know the benefit of your content because you've helped me raise quite a bit of money for my hotel purchase with just showcasing it there. But what has YouTube done for you, and how has it really changed the landscape? I mean, are you making money from YouTube, or are you more so making money from ads? Are you making money from the connections and the network? What's your kind of strategy there?
That's a great question, and something that I've learned, and I'm sure that if anybody that wants to start a YouTube channel and they start doing research, they'll learn that if you're going to start a YouTube channel, you should have a product to sell, whether it's a service, a product, something that you're selling, because relying on AdSense money, you're going to have millions of views, right? Like, for example, if you're an entertainer, that's perfect. If you're going to just base your stuff on, doing pranks or interviewing people on the street, the man on the street style videos, or Mr. Beast type entertainment videos, challenge videos, those will get millions of views. You're not selling a product per se. You're selling entertainment. And Google does own YouTube. YouTube will pay you AdSense money for all those views. And it also depends on what niche you're in to get the cost per million, right? Or the cost per mil, cost per thousand. For example, the highest paying AdSense niche is the finance niche. If you're a finance channel and you've got thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of views, you're making a very good living because the cost per thousand that they pay on that is very high. You're talking about like $20 to $50 per thousand views, as opposed to the travel niche, which I fall into, even though it's not really, it's expat. It's not really travel, but it falls into travel. It's like $5 per thousand. So I don't bank on AdSense money. I make maybe at a good month, $500 per month on just views. But since I sell real estate here, and I have a relocation company called I just forgot the name of it. I blanked on it. Medellin Masterclass. Sorry, the Masterclass.
He does a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's a busy man.
The Medellin Masterclass is the Medellin relocation service for people that want to, relocate here. I mean, when we launched the Medellin Masterclass just like 2 years ago, the first year we made $40,000. And that was just on selling the service to about 25 people. And getting minimal views, right? I wasn't getting thousands of views when I first started the channel 2 years ago. So that's the key. To answer your question is, we bank more on the services that we sell, whether it's real estate, relocation service, property management. We make way more money than if we just banked on AdSense money.
Makes complete sense. And, I think that's why I'm sort of trying to navigate towards that like real estate finance side, hoping we kind of fall into that niche by accident. But at the same time, I think that's a niche where the viewership is not as important. I mean, if you're doing pranks, like you need millions of views.
Yeah.
Whereas, like think about it, 1,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
If 3 people invest $100,000 with you, that's $300,000.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, I subscribe to Alex Hormozy. I love his content. And he always says, when you're starting out content creation, you might just get 50 views on a video, but I'm used to doing sales for a room just with 6 people in it or 10 people in it. 50 people watching me, that's amazing. So I better have a very good sales pitch, or at least good information enough for them to know and believe that I am the expert about what I'm talking about so that they can acquire my services. So the views don't matter. What matters is the content the value within the content, right? The value proposition, and eventually the views will come.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I mean, that's something that's really been a struggle for most people, I think, is just that starting point and getting everything going. There's a lot to learn on that, like there's camera, there's lighting, there's sound,
Yeah.
and that then you get into the YouTube algorithm and the algorithms of all the socials that you're posting on. And that's all before you even thought about what content to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is, let me know if you agree with me on this, but I've been telling people, I'm like, a podcast is the easiest way to have consistent content
Yeah.
because it's just a conversation. We do half the work, we get twice the benefit because my audience watches you, your audience watches me,
Yeah.
and you kind of have a baseline foundation. So in the meantime, if I want to make a video about some piece of real estate or something that I'm doing, I don't have to feel stressed that, oh my God, my algorithm is going to drop because I don't have anything to post. Now I got to
Yeah.
struggle to make a quick video that might not be the highest quality or even really well thought out just to
Yeah.
kind of get something out there.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. And not all of it has to be well thought out. I think well thought out videos obviously do better most of the time, but sometimes you think that you're making a great video and you feel confident about it. You post it and then it flops. And then sometimes you just like, oh shit, I didn't have time to edit it the way that I wanted to, or enough time to have great shots for it or B-roll. And I put it up and I got 200,000 views,
Yeah, yeah.
like I think my biggest video on my channel was that. It was basically just me doing a talking head video over me just walking through my neighborhood. But the content or the value was so good that just, hundreds of thousands of people watched it. I was like, crap. And I'm constantly trying to recreate that. And it's hard to because, sometimes you just overdo it, you overthink it, et cetera. So yeah, it's always a struggle.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And with the other businesses that you have, so you're offering a master class. People can get sort of hooked up on how to move here, how to live here.
Yeah.
You have the YouTube channel with a ton of views and subscribers that educates people basically on Colombia, on Medellin.
Right.
Business focus is there. And then you also have the real estate company.
Yeah.
So, what is that like down here? Because obviously that's way different than when you get your
Yeah.
broker license in the US and away you go.
Right, exactly. The real estate started because, I'm on my channel, I made a video. I've been fortunate enough that my other businesses have done well, and I was able to buy a few properties here in near this neighborhood in Barrio Manila. I was, I gutted them. I renovated them really nicely and put them up on Airbnb and, started a little Airbnb business with that. And they've done well. So I made a video, relating that experience here. And then people started to hit me up and say, hey, I'd love to do what you have done. I'd like to find a property for $150,000, renovate it, and put it up on Airbnb for $2,500. I'm like, okay, that not everybody could do that, but okay, here's a real estate agent that speaks English here in Colombia. I don't know them very well, but I was referring people over to real estate agents here, and they were dropping the ball. After like a couple months, I had sent like 40 or 50 leads to people, and only one had closed. I was like,
Wow.
I know marketing, I know sales. This is a bad ratio here. What's going on? So I started to ask people that I was referring. I was saying, well, what happened? And they'd be like, well, they're not replying to me. They send me WhatsApp messages or links to random properties that aren't even within my budget or within what I want to do in Medellin. Customer service sucks. I don't know the process. No one's explained to me that I have to open up a brokerage account. We need to do title research. There's no title insurance in Colombia. All this stuff that, you think because you've done real estate in the United States, or maybe you've never done real estate and it's a learning curve here. So I started to say, okay, well, let me help you since I know all this stuff. I've done it myself. Let me help you. And I started to learn and more experience with more clients. Sold a few last year when we started. And I'm like, this isn't hard. It's not rocket science. And here you don't need a real estate license. Anybody can earn a commission when they sell real estate. The problem is that not everybody is good at it. And because it's a tough business here, even for like a local real estate agent, they might have another job. They do something else, as their main job, and they sell real estate on the side. Or they're a lawyer, but they also sell real estate on the side.
Yeah.
So so that also clashes sometimes because, when we're trying to find a good lawyer for our clients that wants to you need a lawyer. You should have a lawyer here when you're buying a property to do all the legal stuff. But also, if you want to get a visa here, you'll probably need a lawyer, et cetera. But we've run into occasions where the lawyer tries to talk them out of the property that we've already, come to terms with because they have another property that they're selling. I'm like, what the hell? So things like that happen. But that's how I got into the real estate business here. And now, it's been about a year since we started that, almost a year and a half since we started the Medellin Living real estate company. And now we have a team of 5 people. I don't focus on sales anymore. I focus mostly on just marketing because that's what I love to do. I love the sales part, and I'll go on sales calls sometimes to go show a property or whatever. But right now we have agents that do that, and the idea is to grow it through marketing.
That makes complete sense. And it's beautiful that you've been able to build that in such a short amount of time. And I think it's also a testament to how much the market is lacking for something like that.
Right.
Because when I came here, I mean, I was able to Google Remax.
Yeah.
And there's like a Remax on
There is, yeah.
Diaz. And I went there and I'm like talking to them. I'm like, I want to invest. I want to do this and that and that and that. And they're like, what? Like, I have a list of some random like fincas that are like 2 hours away. Like, would you like to see that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Why am I going to look at a finca 2 hours away?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of profiling that happens here, within business. So they look at you and they think you have infinite money, and then they try to make a buck off you any way they can. They try to market whatever they have available to you, and they try to make money in between. And they also try to change the prices. Sometimes some of the hotels that I was looking at, I mean, I remember telling you, you're like, oh, have you looked at this hotel? And I'm like, yeah, but they want $5 million. You're like, well, the owner wants like 3.5. And I'm like, so why is the broker telling me 5? Like, he's trying to make a quick 1.5 million just on a commission fee. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But yeah, so what would you say, in this entire journey of yours, you've gone through a couple of different things. What would you say was your darkest moment?
Well, when I first got here, I mean, I'm a perpetual optimist. And when I was 22 years old, I did go to jail and did extended time. So that was my rock bottom in life, was when I did that stint. So getting deported and being here with no money, and just a clean slate wasn't negative to me. It was a challenge. But I said, my threshold of pain is being in a cell locked up for a while. So I said, anything is better than that. And on top of that, I never have to look over my shoulder because I'm completely legal here. I can do whatever I want, travel freely, et cetera. As opposed to when I was in the US, you're always kind of looking over your shoulder because you're illegal. You can't really do a lot of stuff. So I would say the darkest moment was when I first got here, just not having money, having to figure things out, having to roommate with people in my early 30s, where I should have, been kind of already independent. And teaching English was awesome. It was fun, but that's a low-paying job. I think anywhere in the world, apart from like Dubai or Korea, where they pay very well for English teachers. Here, it's not a high-paying job. You can get by, but it's long hours and for low pay, but it was a good learning curve. I learned how to structure classes. Obviously, I got certified and all that, but I think that was the lowest point, was dealing with that and then having to work on the side as a freelancer and build a business.
Makes complete sense, bro. I definitely see that. That would have been extremely challenging, but your positivity got you through it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, there's people that help us get through these times. So who would you say was your biggest like coach or influence or mentor?
Yeah, well, a lot. I mean, I like I said, I subscribe to Hormozi's frame of thought and his wisdom and his teachings, but there's a lot that I've listened to even before that, like Tim Ferriss, Napoleon Hill, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's so many books and videos and motivating, I guess, mentors that I've had over my life that I've never met personally, but that I listen to that kind of brainwash you in a positive way, right? That's what keeps me going even to this day. Every single morning I listen to some sort of podcast or YouTube video on my walks from my house to the cafe that I'm going to work out of, or the co-working. While I'm at the gym, a lot of people listen to music. I listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Things like that. I'm always learning, always uh, keeping that positive mind frame. I subscribe to the Stoic teachings and way of life. So for me, it's very easy to withstand pain
Yeah.
and not view pain as something negative.
Yeah.
It's more of a stretching thing. So yeah, and personally, and people that I've met here, my business partners. My first business partner here, Joel, who's a Canadian. He's traveling the world now, but he was the kind of the opposite of me. He is very analytical, very well regimented. I was the opposite. I was sales marketing. I will bite off more than I can chew and then figure out how to chew it. He's like, no, let's analyze this first, put a proposal together, do this, then, because he comes from the corporate world. I never
Right.
worked corporate America. So it was a very good mix. And he taught me a lot of things, and I taught him a lot of things, and we grew together. And then now my business partner in the Medellin Living real estate company, his name is Joel as well, but he's Australian, and he's just like the other Joel, analytical, very detail oriented, regimented, etc. And we complement each other very well.
Yeah, I think that's super important. If you have too many people that are the same, it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, you need to have. I think that's the best advice that I could ever give anybody when they ask me, like, what should I do when I build a business or when I want to start a business? Is like, well, mind who you get into business with, right? Your partner is going to be huge. He could be your good friend. And, oh, I'm going to business with my friend, but well, tell me about him. How is he or her? How are they? Are they organized? No, they're not. Well, are you organized then? No, we're not. Then who's going to organize the company?
That's right.
It's like someone has to do the things that the other doesn't like to do.
Yeah. I mean, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
That's why even companies, like, what is a company? A company comprises of multiple people that are able to do one task very well.
Very well, yeah.
Because of everybody that's part of it. So
exactly.
partnerships are very much the same way there.
Yeah.
And what would you say is maybe some trick or some skills that you've learned in partnerships to keep a good partnership long term and keep sharing that vision?
Oh yeah, communication. Like, even though our real estate company and my digital marketing company is all remote, there's not one day that I don't talk to my business partner. Like, every single day we're talking, motivating each other, and we have plans for the future. Like, for example, our next plan at Medellin Living is a development project where we want to buy an old house or a plot of land, build on it, and sell each individual apartment, etc. So we have dreams and goals that we're going after continuously, and then we check in and kind of check and balance each other. Right, that's what's kept it so good these years. And I know, as a person, I know my personality. I need that in my life. If I don't have a check and a balance, I'll run amok, and I'll screw things up, or I'll just get unorganized, unfocused. So having that helps me keep focus and building, and that's been kind of like the secret to the success so far.
That makes complete sense. What are you looking to build? You guys are now looking to develop?
Yeah, probably like around a 5-story building in one of these neighborhoods, like Patio Bonito. It may be Manila. Manila's kind of hard because it's so scarce, but somewhere in these areas, apartment structure that we can individually sell each apartment building. Obviously, do pre-sales before, build it up, and market it and sell it.
That's super exciting. And there's a huge opportunity for that right now because of the housing shortage.
hmm
I mean, there's a lot of people moving here
Yeah.
and there isn't enough housing.
Yeah, that's where it came from, that idea, because we have a few friends, including yourself, that have development projects out here, and you guys sell out before you even build,
Yeah.
like before it's even done. And we're like, okay, we have to strike while the iron is hot,
Yeah.
and do it now. So that's what we're looking to do this coming year.
Absolutely. And you know what? Sometimes, one interesting thing that we were looking at, we put an offer on a lot and we couldn't come to terms. Didn't make sense. And now the dollar went from, it was like 44 to 1 when we're looking at
Yeah.
it. Now it's like 37 to 1.
Yeah.
And now they kind of came back. They're like, yeah, we're down. And we're like,
Yeah.
fuck. Like, sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
If we had it in pesos, wouldn't be a problem. Let's do it. But then we're looking at the currency exchange. So there's a strategy there as well. I mean, if you're anything above 4.2, 4.3,
Yeah.
like, you should probably be just looking to buy.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you're paying extra to the Colombian that they're asking for, you'll save in times like this when you try to exit that money.
Yeah.
Or even just like the value. So, but it's, you know, when you think about development, right? It takes like 2-3 years,
Right.
right? It's 2-3 years. So
Yeah.
if it's good now and you kind of have an idea or a feeling or an instinct that it might be good, you have to do it now because it could change in 5 years.
It can change quickly. Yeah.
And if you wait those 3 years before you do it, by the time that everybody starts doing it or everybody's a part of it, or it changes the market.
Right.
Right. And I mean, you know, I'm sure you've seen in, like, for example, like that co-living concept here.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of those guys that are now finishing their projects, they're not making as much as the ones that did it and finished 2 years ago.
Right.
Because, you know, co-living is not as popular and
No.
there's so many of it. And then they realize, oh wait, you know, people would probably prefer like a, you know, 700-800 square feet, like 3-bedroom,
Yeah.
than this tiny little, you know, broom closet
Right.
that they get to share with like random people.
With everybody else. Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Trends in the market. But, you know, something that's kind of held fast here is apartment development and hotels.
Yeah.
Like, those have just been, no matter what has happened, those have been pretty lucrative over time. So it might as well go with something that's already worked in the past and it's going to probably continue
Yeah.
to work than try to innovate and bring something new. Although I am a strong advocate of taking risks and doing something new, but you have to be like 100% in, passion into it, market the hell out of it. But if it's something that you're not willing to go 100% into, it might fail. And that would suck. So,
It does suck. And, you know, sometimes you got to throw that dice, right? Like, if you can afford to lose, take that chance,
Yeah.
right? But if you can't afford to lose and you know that you don't have that 100% effort behind it, that's a big risk.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's guaranteed to succeed, of course. But if you know that you can give it the focus, you can maybe get it there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. True.
that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Now, obviously, trying to do that, sometimes we make mistakes. So what would you say in your life was your biggest mistake?
My biggest mistake, in my life, well, apart from going to jail, in business, I guess in business, my biggest mistake has been getting unfocused. You know, like in the early time of building, for example, digital marketing company, you know, I kind of lost focus because we were making pretty good money. And I thought that, you know, it could run by itself. And, you know, most of the time you have to be there or at least be on top of things. So that was a mistake. And I would think it would probably be the biggest mistake. But other than that, I mean, I haven't committed many mistakes because I've had, like I said, great partners that are very attention to detail, very, you know, some people would say, oh, they nag so much, but really that's what you need. You need someone that's like, okay, where's the contract? Wait, let's read over the contract. Now let's make one in English. You're like, oh shit, man, come on, let's just sign this. No, we've got to go through this in detail. So that's changed my personality a bit to be more of that than I used to be. So I've avoided a lot of mistakes. Luckily, every single real estate deal that I've done here has been successful. And, you know, knock on wood. And it's because, you know, Medellin has become this metropolitan city now where it's attracting a lot of tourists, and a lot of those tourists are turning into, you know, long-term expats here that want to buy property, that want to stay in nice places, etc. So luckily I haven't made too many mistakes, but, you know, still got a whole lifetime ahead of me to make more mistakes.
Yeah, there you go. What'd you go to jail for?
Drugs. Yeah, meth. I grew up in the 90s in Southern California. Meth was a big thing.
Yeah.
Before Breaking Bad was a TV show, we were Breaking Bad. So I went because of possession, and it was just a stupid mistake. I was 22 years old, dropped out of college, was playing in a punk band, didn't know what I want to do with my life, just hanging out with the wrong crowd. And I like to party. I mean, I can't deny that. I like to have a good time. When I was a kid, I thought, you know, you're invincible. And I was grounded real quick by the law. And luckily it was like 2003, 2004. And there was no ICE police then or anything like that. So that's why when when the judge in 2010 said you could do this, I'm like, okay, I've done that before. I've done more than a weekend. So I'd do that standing on my head. And then obviously I got a curveball thrown at me called ice police. So yeah, that was a huge mistake, but at the same time, it's shaped my life and given
Yeah.
me character and giving me, I guess, wisdom in life. Where now that I have a kid, I think I can relay a lot of that so that he can make less mistakes than I did.
Yeah, hopefully no jail.
Yeah, hopefully no meth for him.
Holy shit. Oh man, bro. So I wanted to ask you, when you're looking at kind of like the future of Colombia, the future of Medellin, I want to ask you two questions.
Yeah.
What do you think is the number one thing that we need here to change to really become a global player in that global scene as a city? And number two, what do you think is like the direction that we're headed here?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that would change the city is a lot of people would say safety, but I don't think I think it's safe enough. I mean, most people will argue that Medellin is safer than a lot of big cities like Baltimore, Chicago, Detroit in the United States. And the stats will back that up. But so safety is not a huge issue anymore. I think what really would help Colombia as a whole, the whole country, but Medellin particularly as well, is the disparity between the poverty and the haves and the have-nots. So poverty level has to be something to be dealt with, whether it's starting with education, starting with social programs, starting with kids programs, and starting with job opportunity programs for those that are less fortunate or those in lower stratus neighborhoods. Um, if those programs move into there, uh, they will have more options for work, more options to make more money, learning how to manage money. I mean, even in the United States, no one teaches that in school, let alone in a school in a developing nation like Colombia, where they don't teach you how to manage your finances because they're just trying to teach you to become a worker of some sort. So I think those ground level changes would help within the next 20 years of development in Colombia, because poverty is still high here. You still have a high poverty level, and poverty usually begats crime, and that's where that safety issue comes. And not only that, but it begats weak infrastructure because when you're poor, you don't really care about an infrastructure. You just want your next meal, et cetera. So I think that's what Colombia needs to tackle, just like any other developing country should tackle. And where I see Colombia and Medellin going in the future, I mean, next year we have a new president coming on board. Right now, we have a very left-leaning president, which has been interesting. A lot of people were worried and concerned, especially international. Colombians, we don't worry because most Colombians have lived the same type of life that they had before the last president. This president is basically the same thing. You go to work, you got to pay your bills. Inflation's still 10%. Unemployment rate has decreased. Safety has increased. So there's some positive changes at the same time, but you still have to live your day-to-day life and work, et cetera. It hasn't changed much, even though he is a left-leaning president. The things that have changed a lot have been like international policies, and I think that's what will change next year when we have a new president under his term of 4 years. I think it's going to be more conservative president, someone that's going to focus more on the economy, more on capitalism, on trade, foreign policy, et cetera. So I'm assuming that it's going to be better for the country and better for the economy. But again, I don't know what those people are going to do for the infrastructure as far as education, social service projects for kids and underprivileged people down here. So I hope it's good, but I don't know what that will be like. So in my opinion, I think it's going to be the same. I mean, a steady growth as far as tourism, expats coming down here, safety getting a little bit better year after year, inflation decreasing by like 0.5% over year. It's still at 10%, 9% inflation across the board. And I think it'll continue that way. I don't see major revolution and change right now, but I don't think Colombia needs a revolution. Really, what they need is more opportunity, more work, more education, etc.
No, I agree with that 100%. I think, the backbone of any country obviously is its liquidity, which we don't have in
Mm,
Colombia at all. And the second is you need to have a middle class. They're the highest tax and they're the biggest spenders.
yeah.
And that is your working class, because when you ask that guy to go and show up for another 4 hours of overtime, that tennis class lesson that his daughter has, and the private soccer lessons that his son has, and the two cars and a weekend boat and a
Hmm.
finca, and the those bills add up,
Yeah.
and you got to pay for them, and then that motivates people to go to work.
Yeah.
Where I've noticed that, a lot of times if you don't have that, it's hard to motivate people, right? If they don't have bills, they don't have to show up. And if they can just go and find any whatever paying job and just hang out at grandma's house with some sancocho, right?
Yeah.
What's the incentive?
Yeah. Yeah. And the middle class has been growing in Colombia, but it's very different middle class to, for example, like the United States middle class. But yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And yeah, again, I think it just comes down to building opportunity down here for those type of people. More skilled labor, more infrastructure as far as like internet and technology down here is definitely going to help. And I think that is growing in Colombia. And I think it's only going to get better year
Yeah.
after year.
Yeah, makes sense. Hey, what do you think of your YouTube channel and all that stuff? Obviously you're a big planner, so if you don't, what do they say? If you don't plan, you plan to
You
fail,
plan to fail, yeah.
right? So what's the direction that you're taking your YouTube channel and your whole online presence now?
Right. So my whole shift is something that I've learned recently is that, my analytics show me that the majority of my subscribers and viewers are around the age of 40. I am 44 years old. And most of them, about 90% of them, are male. So my direction with my channel is why Medellin or why Colombia is better than the United States for someone over 40 years old. That's literally what I'm going to focus on. And obviously, it'll tackle the three big health, wealth, and happiness.
Right.
That if you tackle that based on your experience, giving tips and offering a service, which I do, a couple services, I'll have success. I don't plan on having 1 million subscribers ever. I plan on having enough views to build a 7-figure business.
Yeah, that's perfect. That makes complete sense. And I'm sure that it also helps to have that traction when you're promoting your own projects or even for friends as well.
Yeah.
It kind of helps move and change the city as a whole, right? I mean, there's a big part of that too.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is to show up Medellin in a good light. I mean, there's enough videos out there and enough media and enough tabloid YouTube channels where
Yeah.
you'll see the negative stuff and they highlight the negative stuff. You can find negative stuff everywhere, and that's okay. I mean, I guess it's kind of entertaining for people to look at that. But I'd rather highlight the positive stuff and people doing good things out here for the community, for themselves, etc. So that's the avenue that I take.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. My man, let's do the rapid fire round.
Okay.
What's a book that changed your life?
Oh, 4-hour work week.
Oh,
Yeah,
amazing.
that one's easy.
Yeah, but I bet you work more than 4 hours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's just a myth. The 4-hour work week is a myth, but it can happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what's funny actually, I think it can happen if you stick to just one business.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
get it to there.
Yeah.
But what happens when we automate one thing?
There's another thing pops up.
Yeah.
But it's not, and it's funny because you can do it. I could do it right now if I wanted to. Just
Yeah.
with the digital marketing company, I could have a 4-hour work week, but I don't want that.
Yeah.
A lot of people say work-life balance. My life is my work, and
Yeah.
that's what I enjoy doing. If I didn't do it, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So my balance is that I like to wake up every day and do my routine and my schedule, and to get productive and do things that I love to do.
Yeah.
A lot of people would view that as work. I don't view it as work. I view that as life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So,
that makes
yeah.
complete sense. What do you think if you were to identify yourself with any character in the world, in history, in books, movies, cartoons, anime, fact or fiction? Who would you most identify with?
Oh man, I would say it would be like a combination between like Jerry Seinfeld. My life is very similar to Jerry Seinfeld because I am 44 years old. I am single. I've got it. He didn't have a kid, but I have a kid. My relationships are very similar. The things that I observe every day,
Yeah.
and I really identify with that. And I would say maybe like uh, uh, I identify a lot with the character in The Old Man and the Sea, the book by Hemingway, in the fact that I'm very headstrong and stoic at times, where I don't show emotion a lot of the times, and I've heard that from many women that I'm very cold, but it's just the way that I am.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a combination between like a joker and a stoic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. That's a good one.
random, right?
Yeah. No, that's good. It's one of my favorite questions. So what's your biggest red flag in a person?
Oh man, the biggest red flag in a person. I would say narcissism. Yeah, and narcissism that word covers a lot of character traits or
Yeah.
character flaws, in my opinion. But not being empathetic, not being on time. I mean, that's like usually a big one. Like if someone's perpetually not on time, I see it as like a red flag. But, perpetually lying, and even if it's little white lies, stuff like that I see as a narcissistic trait that is a red flag in business or that's going to drain you as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big one. And it does cover a lot. What's the best money you ever spent?
Best money I ever spent. Spent or invested, because those are two different things. Spending, I would say that the best investment I've ever made was like the apartments that I bought here.
Yeah.
I bought them for like the first apartment I bought here was like $62,000. I could sell that for 250 today, and that was just like 4 or 5 years ago. So those were like my better investments for real estate. Buying Bitcoin was a huge one. I bought it a while ago. I don't even look at it, to be honest,
Yeah.
but it's grown pretty well.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a big one. But every vacation that I take is money well spent. I love going to the beach. I grew up near the beach. I grew up surfing, so I love going to the beach in Colombia. They have great beaches. Anytime, any money I spend on like vacation time or fun things, I go a little. Every year, I go to at least 5 to 10 concerts in Colombia.
Yeah.
And that's money well spent for me. I love that. Like, I don't care if I spent $1,000 to get like the VIP in front to watch System of a Down,
Yeah.
or next year it's Corn. I mean, just like things that money can't buy that, that happiness.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite beach?
I would say I love going to Santa Marta. I do love like the Palomino area. I would say that's my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What's a thought or way of thinking, or what's something that you changed your mind on recently?
What I changed my mind on recently, having kids, because I had one. Like I thought, I'm 44 years old. My kid's a year and a half almost now, and at 43, I thought, if I don't have a kid, I'm okay with the rest of my life. I do have a nonprofit organization here called Help Colombia, where we help kids learn English in El Barrio de Moravia. So I'm like, at least I have a legacy, and I have my businesses, etc. I have something to live for and something that I'm going to leave behind, which is awesome. But once I had the kid, I'm like, everyone should have a kid. Everyone should experience this unconditional love that no matter, he could become a serial killer.
Yeah.
And I'll still love the hell out of that kid.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's an extreme case, but what I'm trying to say is that it's a life-changing thing.
Yeah.
And it's tough, it's challenging, and I know it's only going to get harder. These toddler years are tough because they can't express themselves, they cry, etc. But I know that once they become like teenagers and young adults, it gets even tougher. So I know that it's going to be a long road, but I'm so looking forward to it. I can't wait for him to build his personality and for me to show him things that I learned, etc. So that's something that was big that I changed my mind on. And I wouldn't mind having more at this point.
I love that. I love that, man. Kids are a blessing.
It's insane. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's good.
60-second message to the world. What would you say?
60-second message to the world. I would say, number one, Medellin and Colombia is an amazing place. It's an amazing country. Don't be afraid to come down here to explore. The only risk, as they say, when you come to Colombia is wanting to stay here forever. And that's what I'm talking. I'm not even saying for a little bit. Like I said, I have a real estate company here that caters for people that want to stay here forever, or at least for a very long time, because they're investing their money in here. So 60 seconds, I would say, come down to Colombia, experience it for yourself, fall in love with the people, the food, the climate, everything that it has to offer, man. It's awesome.
I love it. Brother, how can people get in touch with you?
You could either email me at MedellinBuzzAndrew@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram, Andrew Macia, or my YouTube channel, Medellin Buzz.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Pretty easy.
Brother, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, man, for having me. It was
always
fun.
a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, man.
I appreciate it.
We'll have to do a follow-up one with your hotel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got to do it with the restaurant that's open now.
Exactly.
It's going to be a blast. And I hope you like the food.
I'm sure I will.
There's some dishes. Oh yeah, right.
I'm a food eater.
Yeah.
I love all food, man. I'm not picky either.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of your videos on the food scene here because I had a buddy that came with me. He's a foodie. He was like, what kind of food they got? Well, I don't know. Check out this guy's videos. So we were just sharing back and forth all that stuff. Yeah. And we'll be on there soon, Cielo Abierto. So you guys will be able to check that out. And Andrew Macia, I mean, if any questions that you guys have, this is a wealth of knowledge. And I truly wish one of my mistakes was I wish I reached out to him sooner. He's very approachable, very kind, very friendly. And, when you see people that are big YouTube personalities, you kind of think like, oh, how am I going to get a hold of him? I'll just figure it out on my own. And kind of try to go through the videos. But then it's like the dude literally has everything that you need. So, leave a comment, subscribe to his channel, check out what he's got going on. It's a world of information that I learned a lot from. And we met like way, way later into my journey. And like I said, I mean, one connection, one conversation. We finished the raise for the hotel through that YouTube video and everything happened very quickly. So it's all about who you know. And down here, this is definitely one of the guys you got to know. So
thank you, man.
Until next time, guys, this is Nemology. Peace out.
Later.
Andrew's story is simple. No excuses, no shortcuts, and definitely no victim mindset. He lost his country. He rebuilt his life. And he built systems that pay him back. If you got value from this episode, subscribe, share it, and start building something real. This is Nemology, and we'll see you in the next one.